Aloha, it's Dave Lawrence. How are you? Big mahalo for tuning in and joining us. Today we are fortunate to have on the line an immensely talented singer, songwriter, and guitarist. He's been making people happy with his mind-boggling guitar skills and soulful charisma for years. He can trace at least some of his roots in the American South to an experience at age 7, meeting Stevie Ray Vaughan, according to stuff that I've read. No surprise when you listen to his ferocious playing style. He boasts 7 singles in top 10 territory, has 5 Grammy nominations, and a new album that we are proud to introduce you to, How I Go. It's my humble honor to present you with my guest, originally from Shreveport, Louisiana, bringing Southern hospitality to the world, the great Kenny Wayne Shepherd. Aloha.
What's up, Dave?
Hey, Kenny, how you doing, brother?
I'm good. How are you, man?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. Thank you so much for being willing to just take a few minutes for us here.
That's my pleasure, man.
What kind of connection do you have, Kenny, with Hawaii? Have you ever gigged out here? What's your background with the islands?
You know what? I've been begging my booking agent to book us out there for years, man, and it just hasn't happened yet. But I've spent a lot of time in Hawaii. My family, we usually go on a vacation there once a year, so pretty familiar with Hawaii. You know, both Maui and we've been on just about all the islands. But usually we head out to Maui and spend some good quality vacation time right before we hit the summer tour.
And so you've been to Maui. You go about once a year. You said every year. So when was the last time you were here?
I was there in June. We were up on the, we were at a house right off of up by where the Four Seasons is, man, and we just, yeah, exactly. And, we hung out. The weather was freaking awesome. We went like hiking and stuff. There's some really cool hiking trails and did some snorkeling, and just like, it's a great place to wind down, and I know there's a lot of musicians that have houses there and come there, to spend their off time and stuff. And, we always try and go there right before I kick off the summer tour just to kind of unwind and get, in the right headspace before we hit the road really hard.
You would love it out here, brothers. I mean, there's so many people living over there, from Willie Nelson to Paul Stanley, a Kiss, to Sammy Hagar, to Alice Cooper, to Mick Fleetwood, Santana. I mean, there's a gigantic dudes from Nickelback. I think it would be so cool if you came our way. You'd have a lot of company. What's your experiences on did you say you've been to the Big Island in Kauai?
Yeah, just briefly, we spent there, we had one vacation there and spent a little bit of time and, it was great, man. I mean, but I think, my family just tends to kind of prefer Maui because it's a little more laid back and it's a little more, slow going and everything. So, that's where we've kind of tended to gravitate towards Maui.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But you've been in Honolulu.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we were there, I think it was 2 years ago. That we stayed there and we rented a house that was on the beach and it was cool, man. And a bunch of my relatives, they went out on the town. I mean, normally, my wife and I, we have kids, so, we don't really go out and hit like clubs or anything like that, but we do try and find some hot spots for restaurants and stuff. And one of the greatest things that we found there was this ice cream place, man. I'm probably going to say it wrong, but I think the name of it is Bubby's or something. And they have these Japanese style mochi balls, man. They're just freaking incredible. And they're so good that I actually order them online and have them like overnighted from Hawaii to my house in California.
I love it. That's some good stuff. And that was from your trip here in Honolulu. I don't know that place, but now that you've mentioned it, I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, look it up, man. You will not be disappointed. You got to try the mochi balls. They are awesome.
And you rented a house. Do you remember where on Oahu the house was?
I can't remember exactly. It was just off like the main highway there.
Okay.
And I think it was a house that belonged to Liz Taylor.
All right.
So it had like a bunch of pictures of her up in there. So I think it was.
Yeah,
it was one of her properties.
Probably in Kahala, I can imagine, if it was right on the beach and a big house. Well, the next time you're in town, you have to come by. We have a great 75-seat performance studio here. We do shows. It's kind of like our own little Austin City Limits. We're the big NPR station statewide. So you and your guitar could come here and do a nasty session, my brother. Let me assure you.
That would be awesome, man. That would be really great. Like I said, I mean, we come there for vacation, but I've been looking for the right opportunity to come there and mix work with pleasure, man, because I'm always looking for a great opportunity to play some music.
Would you like that? Would you play solo, just you and a guitar in that room and make some noise?
Yeah, we do stuff like that all the time, man. So it's just a matter of
just keep it in mind. It's just something.
There.
I just put the seed in your head. I mean, we could partner it up. We have airline and hotel friends and stuff. And again, it's public radio, so it's not like a big money making thing, but it's a great exposure, an awesome audience. And when I think of your record, I mention all that because when I listen to How I Go, I've been digesting it over the last probably about 2 weeks. I've listened to different songs, checking out your website, KennyWayneShepherd.net. What was the goal with this record musically and the sound? It's something to watch you grow and develop as an artist.
Well, dude, it's with each album, my biggest goal is to improve, artistically, musically, just the lyrics. I want to step everything up. I want to show musical growth with each record. So, and we always like to do something a little different with each album. This particular record was like a return to our roots, which is, the blues and the rock and roll, like the middle ground between blues and rock, and it's where I think the fans really like to hear us play the most, is that blues-based rock. And, so I think, this album has great production on it, has great performances on it. It's got some really great songs. And I think, we hit all the goals, everything I wanted to achieve with this record. I think we achieved it.
The video making of Never Looking Back, talk about where the inspiration for that song comes from.
Well, that song is just about moving on with life, really. It's a lot of this album is just about, putting, some things behind you and just like moving on, with a positive step, and just not really kind of looking back on your mistakes and dwelling on anything like that, but just kind of looking forward to the future in a positive light. And that's really the essence of that song. Was there a particular experience that made you want to put something behind you like that? Well, I think as we grow older, the idea is that, we grow wiser, man, and we learn from our mistakes and trials and tribulations. And you take those kind of things and you try and develop yourself into a better person from it, And I've had plenty of experiences like that in my life, but there wasn't any one particular direct experience that inspired the song. It's just a general concept of, trying to live life one day at a time and one step at a time and not get ahead of yourself, but, keep a positive attitude. Those are good lessons, and I imagine that some of the lessons that you've picked up go back all the way to things that maybe your dad inspired you by because of his own connection to the entertainment industry. I mean, through him being a radio personality, I would say you have a pretty early and strong connection, not just to music, but I guess to radio too. Yeah, certainly, man. I grew up in a radio station with my dad, so, we have I feel like that's influenced how I do my live concert too. It's like trying to keep the flow of a live radio show is interesting, trying to avoid the big dead air, and trying to keep the momentum going and keep people's attention. And, I've incorporated that into our live performance in the set list and stuff. And it also, I was exposed to lots of behind the scenes stuff with the music business and, got a good look into what eventually was going to become my career, which was like performing and writing songs that, hopefully we get played on the radio and, seeing what makes a song a good song and a good candidate to get on the radio. That's fascinating. I don't know that I've ever had exactly this sort of answer from someone. So there was a lot of formative by being around the radio station. You almost were hit-minded in some ways. Well, sort of. I don't sit down and write a song and just like try and see if I can write a hit, but I definitely feel like I'm familiar with what the formula is for getting a song on the radio, and just from watching how my dad chose the songs that he was playing on his radio station all those years. Are you still a radio fan? Oh yeah, man. It's pretty exciting, to be, sitting behind the microphone and thinking about the audience, listening and hanging on your every word and waiting to hear what you're going to play next. And, it's, there was a lot more creative control, back when my dad was doing it. They could make their own playlists back then. It's a little more structured and a little more rigid nowadays, but it's still pretty exciting stuff. And so you still, when you're driving around on your own and you're not forced to by your own choice, you'll put on radio in the car? Oh, yeah, man, I listen to music. Look, I love music. That's why I play it, So I listen to music in the car all the time. Everything from local radio stations, NPR stations to satellite radio and stuff like that. I tap into a little bit of all of it.
You have a satellite radio account in your car?
Yeah, I got them in all my cars.
Okay, so, that's interesting. That's another thing. They don't have that here yet in Hawaii. We're not in the footprint of the big bird, so they don't have Sirius XM. But it's neat to know as a musician that you do that. But tell us about this experience. You were 7. You met Stevie Ray Vaughan. I'm sure I can barely remember anything from when I'm 7, but what are your memories of that?
Well, man, he was one of the greatest guitar players ever, and he played with a certain level of fire and intensity that, just profoundly infected me. Every time I saw him many times, but I was just mesmerized by what he did, and I was very inspired by him and I was like, man, I want to grow up and do that, So I met him when I was 7 years old, and 6 months later, I got my first real electric guitar. I mean, I had little toy guitars prior to that. I was always attracted to the instrument. But, started getting serious when I got my first electric guitar 6 months after I met him. And, he's definitely one of my biggest musical influences. And, it's safe to say that if it wasn't for him, there may not be a Kenny Wayne Shepherd.
How'd you meet him, though? Where were you? When did it happen in your life?
Well, my dad, he was in radio, and my dad was also doing concert promotion. And he had a festival that he did called the Louisiana Music Festival. And he booked Stevie Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble to headline it that year. So I got backstage because my dad was the promoter of the show. And so I got to meet the band and everything and sit at the side of the stage and watch the whole show. And I was forever changed, man.
And now Chris is your drummer.
Yeah, Chris Layton. He's been in my band, on and off my entire career. He played on my first record and almost all my albums after that. But he's been full-time in my band now for like 7 years.
But that's such a full circle thing, yeah, in your life?
Yeah, it's pretty tremendous, because Chris and the guys from Double Trouble, they were like my pretend band when I didn't really have a band because I was playing along with all their records and stuff,
Right.
And now to have the band behind me every night, it's pretty amazing.
And we can't not give a plug to one of the baddest ass bass players. I've interviewed him briefly one time before, Tony Franklin. How'd you hook up with that monster?
Yeah, I just ran into Tony over the years. He worked at Fender for a long time. He took some time off from touring and stuff like that. And he was a Fender artist relations person. And so we hung out, we jammed a few times, and he came and played with my band a couple times when my bass player had a conflict. And, we just really liked the way that it sounded, man. And he was looking to get back on the road, and, everything lined up. And, he joined the band back in July, and he's been a great addition to the band.
When I was 14, I went to see this show, Kenny. It was I saw both of their only 2 U.S. tours, but I saw the Firm in '85 and '86, and it was. Have you ever checked out any of those Firm recordings?
Yeah, killer band. Unbelievable,
man, and it's so cool the people that you populate your band with. Very, very talented musician. I really wish we could get that band out here. And your own relationship when it comes to music and your aspirations, is there another direction you want to take yourself that goes beyond where you've been already playing the blues? Is there another genre or maybe place in terms of your guitar playing that you aspire to go?
As a musician, as an artist, I like to try, different things and go into different directions. I've done collaborations with other artists, everybody from like Kid Rock to Wynonna Judd to Willie Nelson.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I like to try new things, and I always like to leave the door open for other creative opportunities.
What is a driving, gnawing thing that you want to try that you've never done that maybe you think about would be a challenge or would put you in a different place? You mentioned 3 very different and great examples of collaborations where you've stepped out of perhaps the role you're known for. Is there another one like that is coming that we don't know about? Maybe you could tip us off to?
Not really, man. I'm just looking at a couple of different options right now, and, we're doing a tour with Joe Walsh right now in the States, and he and I have talked about maybe doing something together in the future. So, it remains to be seen if that comes to fruition, but, there's all kinds of opportunities out there. So something with Joe could be in the works. Yeah, it's possible.
Okay. Puddle of Mud just did some stuff using some of his musicians. So interesting to see how he's connecting with a younger generation of folks. Well, we wish you a lot of luck on that tour, and we do hope that we can somehow convince you to add us to an itinerary if you're going to be coming out to the islands. When's your next trip out here?
Well, I'm not sure yet, man. We got to see what next summer brings in the way of touring and stuff like that. But if we find the right opportunity, I'd imagine we'll come back out there again next summer.
So you come here in the summers?
Yeah, generally that's when we come out there.
Okay. You should maybe the winter would be cool, because then I guess it's never cold where you live, though. That's better for East Coast people to get away from the winter.
Yeah, it's not bad. California doesn't, whatever is considered California's winter really is mild by, the rest of the country and what they have for winter. So, it's not too much trying to escape the winter months as it is just trying to find the right opportunity to have some downtime.
Right. You live in Southern California, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Did they have palm trees in Shreveport?
Actually, they do. I was there the other day, and I noticed that somebody had planted some, but I think it was a casino, but they had to bring them in from out of state, that's for sure.
All right, well, they brought them in here too, brother, a long time ago. You just put water on them, they'll grow if the conditions are right. I give you a big hug and a high five. I appreciate talking to you, dude, and I hope it wasn't a pain in the ass.
No, it's all good, man. Nice talking with you.
Be safe, Kenny.
All right.
Aloha.